Morning, Paul. Good morning, Monsieur le Président, Stéphane. It's a pleasure to have you today. So, Stéphane, Monsieur President, you have the floor. We would like to hear your welcoming speech so we can get started with our day today.
Okay. Bonjour à tout le monde. Minister, dear friend, Minister, friend, it is with a great pleasure that I once again have the privilege and pleasure to opening the 4 per 1000 Initiative Day. Unfortunately, we are not on the sidelines of the COP, of the Climate Convention, as is normally the tradition, but only online for budgetary and logistical reasons. This year, 2025, marks the 10th anniversary of our initiative, and it is in this context the overall theme of our 2025 4 per 1000 Day could only be the first decade of this international 4 per 1000 initiative and reflection on the next decade, 2026-2035. The Executive Secretariat has prepared a magnificent document that traces this first decade and also shows where we stand and implementation of the strategic plan 2050. During this forum and the consortium, there will be many opportunities to review this result. We are also counting on you to help us guide to initiative works for the next 10 years, still within the framework of the strategic plan 2050. We have conducted a survey and the network, the result of which will be presented to you. And we have also received feedback from the personalities who were present in Paris on April 24 for the event we organized as part of the Change Now Summit at the Grand Palais. When I launched this movement in Montpellier in March 2015, 9 months before the COP of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, at the conference of the Climate Smart Agriculture, I was, of course, convinced of its importance, but I was far from imagining where we would be 10 years later. Today, we have an initiative for more than 5 times as many partners, and above all, greater diversity, creating one of the largest multi-stakeholders partnerships dedicated to soil, carbon, and soil health. Thanks to this fantastic global network united around a 2050 strategic plan consisting of 24 objectives, and I am confident that we will succeed in making decision makers, scientists, economists, and civil society understand that our farmers, thanks to living carbon-rich soils, are key players in our resilience and the future of humanity on Earth. But you already know that. If the International 4000 Initiative has taken a major role globally, placing the importance of the living carbon-rich, healthy soils at the top of the international agenda, it is thanks to the work of the scientific and technical committee, the commitment of its current and former member, as a dedication of his executive secretariat. Thanks you to the Bond team at BLE, namely Claudia, Catalina, Samuel, and Lance. Thank you to Elena, based in Madrid, and the Spanish Minister of Agriculture. And thank you to Montpellier team, namely Beatrice and Brigitte, with the support of our consultant, Frédéric, Philippe, Antoine, Olivier, and Thibault, not to mention Paul, our executive secretary, who has led this secretariat for more than 9 years, who will soon be leaving as, and for whom the 4 per 1,000 initiative day will be his last. Thanks you for all your hard work and for the energy and motivation you put into daily work despite this headwind. Before handing over to Ercilia, our Vice President, who will guide your work with kindness and efficiency, we would also like to thank her warmly on behalf of myself and Ibrahim Maniaki, the second Vice President, for agreeing to share this nice night day of the 4 per 1,000 initiative. Dear Ercilia Chávez, I now give you the floor and the chair, and congratulations for all the team who worked hardly during this 10 last year.
Merci, Monsieur le Président, cher Stéphane. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we're gathered here today, almost 10 years to the day after the birth of a major initiative. I would like to welcome you all, everyone that's also arriving. Welcome to this day. After the words of our President, Stéphane Le Foll, I would like to continue with the presentation of the day today. So in December 2015, at the COP21 conference of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, before the signing of the historic Paris Arrangement in France, France decided through its Minister of Agriculture to contribute to the fight against the scourges of climate change and food insecurity by proposing the creation of an international initiative called the 4 per 1,000. At the time in France, the parliament had just passed a law on the future of agriculture, which established agroecology as a transitional objective between environmental concerns related to climate, biodiversity and soil, and important economic challenges for French agriculture from a European CAP and even a global FAO perspective. The main idea behind the launch of this global initiative was that part of the answer to combating climate change lies in the soil, its health, and its carbon content, thanks to our ecology. So for the first time, we could talk about agriculture in a positive way. We could talk about soil and the solution it provides to climate change and food insecurity. We could give society hope for the future and give our farmers the central place they deserve. In 2020, 5 years later, the International 4 per 1,000 initiative was already well established. And all over the world, people were talking about soil health, agroecology, all as solutions. Then 5 years later came COVID-19, Ukraine war. People began to doubt about the direction to take, returning to the temptation of isolationism, sovereignty, and talking much less about solidarity, exchange, and mutual aid. Since then, despite the efforts of those who continue to believe in it, the temptation to give up has become more pressing, to return to the what's the point mentality. Between droughts, fires, hurricanes, and floods, après nous, le déluge, after us comes the flood, después de nosotros, la inundación. But I would like to take the time here to reaffirm that we refuse to give up. We're proud of what we have achieved together, all together, from south to north, from east to west. Even if the pace is not fast enough, even if the scale of the change is still too modest, the direction we're taking is correct. With the support of our 880 partners and members around the world, and the many passionate scientists who are working to help us better understand the wonderful mechanisms of our living soils, we must continue our work and make the International 4,000 initiative the tool that restores hopes to everyone. Farmers, without whom we cannot survive in the planet, a society concerned about the impact of natural and human-made disasters, the business world, the scientific community, which needs investments to answer our questions, everyone questions, and more generally our children, to whom we owe them to fight to correct the mistakes of our past so that they can have the opportunity to do better with their own descendants. In this regard, I call on countries, organizations, institutions, and companies that have not yet joined us to partner and to become members, and to do that as soon as possible. Climate change is affecting us all severely in terms of its intensity and frequency. The economic consequences at the local, regional, and national levels amount to millions of dollars. Businesses are being affected, particularly through their supply chains. Insurance companies increasing in premiums or even withdrawing from the scheme. And the International 4,000 provides concrete solutions that must be implemented to restore a higher level of resilience, despite a deteriorating socioeconomic context and difficult public finances around the world. Let me be very clear here. We have a collective and individual responsibility to show the way forward, particularly through initiatives such as ours, in close collaboration with our members and partners within the framework of all the United Conventions that emerged from the 1992 Rio Conference and the FAO. The main challenge for our initiative after this first decade of existence is to continue to work in synergy with its counterparts, created just before, just after it. In particular, our friends at the Global Soil Partnership, the Coalitions for Agroecology and the Coalition of Actions for Soil Health, and the International Soil Carbon Research Consortium. In the current uncertain geopolitical context, it is difficult to raise the necessary budget each year to run the initiative and develop the many activities it implements. Since December 2015, 6.7 million euros has been spent on these activities, divided equally between direct costs, operating budget, and indirect costs, in-kind contributions, including human resources, representing an annual average of 670,000 euros. These contributions come mainly from German, French, and Spanish public funds, but also from research institutions such as IRG and CIRAD, as well as from companies. I would like to take this opportunity to publicly express my deep gratitude for all of this support, in the hope that it will encourage more actors to follow. We will talk about this again during the 4,000 Initiative Day. But we need active support every year so that the Executive Secretariat can devote all the energy of its teams to actions in the field in the service of its network and the implementation of the strategic plan 2050, rather than constantly seeking the means to function. This is, in other words, a call to support the International 4,000 initiative and to contribute financially, even modestly, whatever you can do, to its budget. In order to assess what has been achieved during the first decade of our initiative and to consider the directions for the decade beginning in 2026, the Executive Secretariat has prepared an illustrated document that you can find on the initiative's website. This document will be actually in French and Spanish in the coming weeks. So I would like to thank you for joining us for this 9th day of the 4,000 initiative, which is happening online. And without further ado, allow me to open the high-level segment of this 10th Partner Forum. Thank you. Let's make this a great day.
Thank you. Ercilia, we will continue with some videos from our ministers, the ministers that support us.
Le thème de cette année, qui marque le 10e anniversaire de l'initiative, s'imposait de lui-même. Le maintien de sols en bonne santé constitue un impératif majeur pour disposer d'une agriculture productive, durable, résiliente, fondée sur une gestion adaptée des terres et des sols, créatrice d'emplois et de revenus, et donc porteuse d'avenir et d'attractivité pour les jeunes. Il est nécessaire, pour répondre aux enjeux de souveraineté alimentaire, de lutte contre le dérèglement climatique et de perte de biodiversité, et ainsi réussir à nourrir 9,5 milliards d'êtres humains à l'horizon 2050. L'initiative 4 pour 1000 a su, au fil de ces 10 années, rassembler une diversité toujours plus grande de membres. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes près de 900 partenaires unis autour d'un même objectif. Je suis convaincue que c'est grâce à la complémentarité entre nous tous venant d'horizons multiples, scientifiques, politiques, issus du secteur privé ou agriculteurs, que nous parviendrons à faire avancer le sujet majeur de la santé des sols, un sujet qui me tient particulièrement à cœur. En 10 ans, la question des sols a été placée au cœur des débats internationaux et est devenue une priorité. Sur le terrain, l'initiative 4 pour 1000 a permis d'accompagner des projets concrets et de concevoir des outils d'aide à la décision innovants en permettant un meilleur suivi de l'état des sols. Au cours des 10 prochaines années, notre principal défi sera de déployer à grande échelle les bonnes pratiques construites conjointement avec les agriculteurs pour répondre à leurs besoins. L'objectif est désormais de traduire ces innovations en action pour ancrer ces évolutions dans la réalité des exploitations agricoles. C'est pourquoi je suis heureuse de rappeler le soutien que la France et particulièrement mon ministère apportent à cette initiative. Outre un soutien financier, il se manifeste par un apport en expertise illustré par la mise à disposition de M. Paul Luhu en sa qualité de secrétaire exécutif. Je souhaite le remercier chaleureusement aujourd'hui pour son engagement alors qu'il s'apprête à prendre sa retraite. À l'initiative 4 pour 1000, à chacun d'entre vous qui l'avez rejointe et à ceux qui, j'espère, vont y adhérer, je souhaite des travaux constructifs et tournés vers l'action, avec en ligne de mire l'horizon 2035. Bonne réunion et à bientôt.
Merci, Madame la Ministre. We will continue with the video of Alois Rainer, the Minister of Agriculture of Germany.
Sehr geehrter Herr Le Foll, sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, leider kann ich heute nicht persönlich bei Ihnen sein. Ich möchte aber die Gelegenheit nutzen und der internationalen 4 per 1000 Initiative zu ihrem 10-jährigen Bestehen gratulieren. Gesunde Böden sind die Grundlage für unsere Ernährung. Sie sind ein Garant für die Ernährungssicherheit weltweit. Sie spielen eine zentrale Rolle beim Kampf gegen den Klimawandel und bei der Anpassung an seine Folgen. 4 per 1000 leistet seit vielen Jahren einen wichtigen Beitrag, um die Bodenqualität weltweit zu verbessern. Von Beginn an haben wir als Ministerium das Sekretariat von 4 per 1000 personell unterstützt. Gemeinsam mit 4 per 1000 haben wir Anfang September in Berlin eine internationale Konferenz mit den wichtigsten Akteuren zum Thema Boden und Klima ausgerichtet. Die Konferenz hat uns nochmals gezeigt, wie wichtig humusreiche Böden sind. Neben den positiven Effekten für den Klimaschutz haben sie besonders für unsere Landwirtinnen und Landwirte viele Vorteile. Sie können Wasser besser speichern und sind daher widerstandsfähiger gegen Dürre und Trockenperioden, aber auch gegen Erosion und Bodenverlust bei Starkregenereignissen. Gesunde Böden sind die Grundlage für eine wettbewerbsfähige, wirtschaftlich tragfähige, resiliente und gleichzeitig nachhaltige Wertschöpfung, gerade in unseren ländlichen Regionen. Aktuelle Studien zeigen aber auch, dass es weiteres Engagement braucht, um unsere Böden langfristig zu schützen. In gut 2 Wochen trifft sich die Weltgemeinschaft in Brasilien zur Weltklimakonferenz. Die Verbindung von Landwirtschaft und gesunden Böden muss auch dort adressiert werden. Daher danke ich Ihnen allen ganz herzlich für Ihr Engagement und freue mich auf die weitere Zusammenarbeit.
I would like to introduce now the video of my Ms. Ana Rodriguez Castaña, Secretary General for Agricultural Resources and Food Safety. She's going to be speaking on behalf of Mr. Luis Planas Puchades, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food of the Kingdom of Spain.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends of the 4 per thousand initiative, it is a true honor for me to convey the great satisfaction with which Spain has supported the international initiative since its launch at COP21. It is also a great pleasure to join you in celebrating this 9th initiative day. It is a special occasion as it coincides with the initiative's 10th anniversary. It is a fitting moment to reflect on the progress made and to look ahead to the future together. Over this first decade, the 4 per thousand initiative has clearly shown that soil is a key ally in the fight against climate change and food insecurity. Its remarkable ability to bring together governments, scientists, farmers, and businesses from over 100 countries across all continents has firmly established it as a global benchmark network in soil matters. The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food of Spain is proud to have consistently contributed both financially and technically and to have supported the development of this initiative since its creation, bringing both experience and involvement. Today, more than ever, we must continue fostering co-creation processes among farmers, researchers, and public decision makers to design effective strategies that are tailored to each territory and deliver measurable results. Strengthening monitoring, reporting, and verification system is therefore a top priority as they all provide transparency, build trust, and lay a solid foundation for public policies and climate financing mechanisms. In this context, the Initiative 2050 Strategic Plan provides a clear roadmap to achieve healthy, carbon-rich soils across the global world as a foundation for more sustainable, resilient, and prosperous agriculture. Spain fully shares this vision, as well as with the European Union. Its goals are the future for sustainability and biodiversity. In today's complex international landscape, shaped by geopolitical tensions and food crisis, cooperation and shared science are more essential than ever. I would also like to highlight the adoption of the 4 per mil initiative by the Joint Research Centre of the European Commission, an important step that strengthens its integration into EU policies and enhances its international visibility. This recognition at European level validates the scientific rigor of the initiative. Farmers are without doubt the key actors in this transition. Their knowledge, dedication, and daily efforts are the true driving force behind the change. It is our institutional duty to stand by them, to recognize and defend their work, and to provide them with the tools they need to ensure a secure and sustainable future. We must also continue raising public awareness without living soils. There cannot be no food security, no climate stability, and no lasting development without this. Soil health is a common good, and we must all work to preserve, protect, and promote. Soil health is our health. Let me conclude by expressing my gratitude to Dr. Paul Liu, who after 10 years leading the Executive Secretariat Initiative is now retiring. His dedication and leadership have been crucial in strengthening this initiative of 4 per thousand. We wish him every success in this new chapter of his life. Sustainable agriculture is one of our best tools to protect soil, ensure food security, and combat climate change. When science, policy, and fieldwork come together, we can preserve healthy soils that will continue to feed both present and future generations. So thank you very much.
Thank you to Mrs. Ana Rodriguez Castaño. I would like now to give the floor to Mr. Bruno dos Santos Alves Figueiredo. He's the director of the Department of Sustainable Production and Irrigation from the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock from Brazil. Bruno is going to give us an inspirational presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Paul. Dear partners, friends of the 4 per 1,000 initiative, it is an honor to be here today and to deliver this presentation. My sincere thanks to the 4 per 1,000 initiative for pushing forward this collaboration and for its fundamental role in inspiring today's discussions. We gathered at a delicate moment in our history. We live in times of geopolitical transformation where multilateralism itself is being challenged. It is precisely when the voices of division rise that we, assembled here, must raise ours in defense of cooperation. The great challenge of our time, the climate crisis, poverty, hunger, and conflict, are deeply interconnected. No single nation, no matter how powerful, can solve them alone. The only possible response is the one we are building together today, a collective response. We stand at a unique point between the memory of a promise made a decade ago in Paris and the imminence of crucial decisions in a few weeks in the city of Belém in Brazil. Over 20% of the world's agricultural land is degraded. This degradation is not just a stain on the map. It is an engine of hunger, deforestation, and insecurity, directly affecting the well-being of over 3 billion people worldwide. Yet, within this challenge lies one of our greatest opportunities. 10 years ago, the 4 per 1,000 initiative presented a transformative idea that our soils can be a powerful ally in building a resilient future. You have championed the elegant science that shows how the health of our land is inherently linked to the health of our climate and our communities. This is not just an aspiration. It is a reality grounded in science. Agriculture possesses the unique ability to capture carbon, turning a greenhouse gas into a resource for growth. This is why we advocate for measuring net emissions to fully account for the positive role of our lands can play to this vital balance between emissions and removals. This vision is now at the very heart of the COP30 presidency's agenda. As outlined in our 4th letter from the COP presidency, we have placed the transformation of agriculture and food systems as a central pillar of our work. Under X3, Transforming Agriculture and Food Systems, we have set a clear key objective of land restoration and sustainable agriculture. And today, it is with immense pride that I come here to share how the Brazilian presidency of COP30 intends to take this vision to an even larger scale. Colleagues, friends, it is in this context that RAIZ, the Resilient Agriculture Investment for Net Zero Land Degradation, is born. RAIZ is a global call, a planetary mutirão, a collective action to catalyze investments in agricultural land restoration at scale. It is the embodiment of the conviction there will be no climate security without food security, and there will be no food security without healthy living soils. I will now share a brief presentation of the Raiz initiative with you. Just a second so I can project it. So, as I have mentioned, Raiz is a global mutirão for food security and climate. Over 20% of global farmland is currently degraded. That corresponds to approximately 1 billion hectares of farmland. Approximately half of it is comprised of grassland and the other half of cropland. Climate change will worsen degradation with high costs, and by mid-century, we expect to see from 10 to 50% decrease in crop yields across the different regions of the globe. And also, by 2050, we might reach a cumulative economic damage of $23 trillion for the global economy. That's due to crop losses, erosion, and other disasters related to land degradation. Restoring farmland would have significant benefits. And by 2050, we expect to see an emissions capture of 12 to 20 gigatons of potential CO2 equivalent capture by these agricultural soils. Also, if we manage to recover that land, we can secure a food supply of additional food production of up to 15 billion megatons. That's why we need a global mutirão for farmland restoration. Raiz is this connective tissue that will make capital flow faster and smarter, connecting private finance and public finance, multilateral finance, through blended finance mechanisms to deliver restoration projects at scale across the different regions of the globe. Raiz has 4 key objectives. The first one, to map degraded agricultural landscapes. The second one, to identify investable projects. The third one, to define optimal investment mechanisms. And the fourth one, to foster knowledge sharing. And based on these 4 key objectives, we aim to achieve results at scale by convening this global mutirão. In this last slide, you can access the QR code that will take you to the website. The Raiz initiative is being built in partnership with the FAST partnership from FAO, also together with the Food and Land Use Coalition, the Institute Climate and Society, CGIAR, agroecology, and the G20 Global Land Initiative. If you are interested in getting involved, either if you are representing a party or an initiative, you can access the QR code to your right and sign in to cooperate with us. I also invite you to attend the ministerial meeting where we are going to do the official launch during COP30 at the 19th of November in the city of Belém. Continuing here in my presentation, we need the knowledge shared in this forum of 4 per 1,000 to feed the architecture of Raiz and other initiatives, other global mutirão that are willing to push forward on this matter. But as we advocated at COP29, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Raiz will respect the national circumstances and the respective capabilities of each country. In a fragmented world, our strength lies in our ability to cooperate mutually, overcoming differences in the name of the common goal, a better and a more sustainable future for all. Strengthening inclusive multilateralism and rejecting unilateral measures is not an option. It is a necessity. This is the only path to a just transition. In a few weeks, the world will turn its eyes to the Amazon, to the city of Belém. COP30 cannot be just another conference. It must be a beacon of hope. The moment the world reaffirmed that cooperation overcomes conflict, and that it collectively decided to invest in its most fundamental foundation, fertile land. Raiz will be one of the central legacies of this presidency. And when we are there, history will not be written only by the delegates. It will be written by you, by the partners of 4 per 1,000 and the future partners of Raiz, who show that it's possible, yes, to cultivate peace, prosperity, and sustainability from the very soil that unites us. May your discussions be as fertile as our soil you defend. May this forum be the spark that ignites action in Belém. We are counting on you. See you in COP30. Thank you very much. Merci, obrigado.
Thank you very much, Bruno. Thank you for the presentation of Raiz and this wonderful information and the very necessary message of cooperation overcoming conflict. So I would like to welcome our next speaker, is Mrs. Gret Manhout. Mrs. Gret is head of the unit of the Joint Research Center of the European Commission. So we could.
Good morning, cher Monsieur le Président Le Foll, cher Paul, distinguished guests. On behalf of our Director General, Bernard Magenhan, whom you met in Berlin, I want to express that we are extremely honored to be with you for the first time. You as distinguished partners of the 4 per 1000 initiatives. This initiative is extremely important for us as the European Commission is determined to stay the course of the European Green Deal. I would like to mention that it's a very special time at the moment, as last night, the Environmental Committee of the European Parliament voted to approve the proposal for the soil monitoring law, which is now leads to the way to the approval in the plenary this Friday. And this will be a real milestone for the vision to have healthy and carbon-rich soils in Europe, which is a goal that we share with you, with the 4 per 1000. And we are very pleased that the Commission has joined this initiative and that now the Joint Research Center is tasked with representing the interests of the Commission and can finally contribute to this event as a real member. In fact, since the creation of the Paris Climate Summit, the 4 per 1000 initiative has led the way in highlighting the need for healthy soils to provide, on the one hand side, sustainable farming systems, and at the same time, on the other hand, to mitigate the effects of climate change. And there are many synergies between the objectives of this initiative and the work we are doing at the European Commission in relation to soils and climate change. In fact, the Joint Research Center feels very much a natural partner to the partners of this initiative. Let me highlight a little bit how the work of the Joint Research Center, and in particular as well, the EU Soil Observatory that we manage, how we provide support to the ideals of the 4 per 1000 and the European climate law that enshrines really the European Union's legally binding commitment to reduce the net greenhouse gas emissions by 90% in 2040 compared to the 1990 levels, going to a climate neutral continent in 2050. our support to the carbon removals and carbon farming certification regulation, but also to the nature restoration regulation, the imminent soil monitoring law, and more generally to the sustainable development goals, as well as to the land degradation neutrality of the UNCCD, reflects also the importance that we give to healthy soils. Looking a little bit into the future, we would like to give a way of how we support the how we foresee to support the 4 per mille initiative, and we want to do this in 3 ways. Firstly, we want to organize high-level and technical international multi-stakeholder events. We are equipped with EU Soil Observatory as well for that. Secondly, we want to develop and provide further access to relevant tools, data, and platforms that allow us to monitor the progress. And thirdly, we would like to foster further scientific collaboration, particularly in the context of synergies with soil carbon future initiatives. And with that, I would like to thank for the opportunity to be here with you today. And I would like to give as well a special thanks to you, Paul, as a colleague, but also a friend, to Arwen, who couldn't make it today, but who will be there tomorrow, and as well to us, the EU Soil Observatory and the European Commission. We made it just in time. Many thanks to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Gret, and for this wonderful and hopeful message as well, and your commitment. I would like to welcome now to the Deputy Assistant Minister of Export and International Affairs Bureau from Japan. So let's open the line for him.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. My name is Kubota Osamu, Deputy Assistant Minister of the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries of Japan. And as the Minister of Agriculture was unable to attend today, so I would like to make a statement here on behalf of on his behalf. Let me begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to the organizer of this event. The climate change encompasses not only global warming, but also increasingly frequent extreme weather events, which pose a serious threat to food production. And we must find a way to address these two challenges. And I think the key here is innovation. And we must develop and promote technologies that reduce GHG emission while maintaining or improving agricultural productivity. And fortunately, there are many such technologies in Japan. To give one example, a Japanese startup has developed high-performance biochar combined with beneficial microorganisms. This stabilizes crop yield, improves soil quality, and contribute to sequestering atmospheric carbon into the soil, which I think very much align with the target of this 4 per mille initiative. To further accelerate this effort, Japan launched a new initiative this May called Midori Infinity. Midori means green in Japanese, and it is a comprehensive policy package designed to support the overseas deployment of Japan's greenhouse gas reduction technologies in the agricultural sector. Through Midori Infinity, Japan aimed to expand these technological innovations, particularly to regions in the global south. At COP30, Japan will continue to promote Midori Infinity as our contribution to addressing the global nexus of food and climate. Japan firmly believes that with the right technologies and strong international partnership, we can achieve both food security and climate change mitigation. Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Kubota Usoma, speaking from Japan, and speaking about innovation. Our next speaker now is Ms. Thorun Wolfram Petudorster, Secretary of the Global Soil Partnership at FAO.
So, distinguished guests, it's a great honor to address you today as we mark 10 years since the launch of the 4 per 1000 initiative. This pioneering effort has fundamentally shifted global recognition of the vital role soils play in the climate change mitigation and adaptation. An area, we might say, that was too long overlooked by the climate community. More than a decade ago, FAO members established the Global Soil Partnership as a voluntary and inclusive initiative dedicated to sustainable soil management worldwide. From the outset, the GSP has supported the 4 per 1000 initiative, united by a shared belief in the power of soils to sequester our atmospheric carbon. Soils represents the planet's second largest carbon reservoir, and when managed sustainably, they are a critical climate solution, a principle at the heart of the 4 per 1000. Over the past decade, numerous large-scale efforts from both public and private sectors have emerged to promote carbon storage in soils. FAO Recarbonization of Global Agricultural Soils Initiative complements these actions, reinforcing our collective commitments. Yet, to enhance impact, these initiatives must align through greater collaboration and coordination. Strengthening the synergy between the 4 per 1000 initiative and the Global Soil Partnership would further advance soil organic carbon management at both global and national levels. Looking forward, I hope we can jointly foster the development of an inclusive global platform on soil organic carbon, a critical gap that remains. As a key partner of the GSP, the 4 per 1000 initiative is well positioned to lead efforts on soil carbon and climate action, helping to unite and scale related initiatives worldwide. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Thorun, for this wonderful message from the very important initiative, the Global Soil Partnership. I would like now to, we have a video by Dr. Juan Lucas Restrepo Ibiza. He's the Director General of the Alliance of Biodiversity International and CAT. So here is Mr. Restrepo Ibiza.
Multi-stakeholder effort was established that really managed to bring soils at the center of public awareness and conversations about its importance for climate mitigation, basically, but also for restoration, for adaptation, and for livelihoods. It's been great work, and we are very proud as the Alliance, given we are a partner, we are a member of the 4 per 1000 community, but we are also the gracious host of the initiative in our offices in Montpellier. Our work has helped, for example, through agro-silvopastoral work, determine that we are able to capture per hectare per annum in these types of systems about 4 tons of carbon. And we are going further, and we've been researching, for example, on deep-rooted systems for rice and forages to ensure that plants become better machines at bringing carbon deep, capturing and bringing it deep into the soil. So we're very proud. Next decade, we need to do more. We need to work with more evidence. We need to strengthen our monitoring and evaluation. So governments, researchers, farmers, civil society keep understanding that we can only meet our societal and planetary challenges with soil carbon at the center.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Juan Restrepo. We would like to welcome now Madame Valérie Verdier, CEO of the French Research Institute for Sustainable Development. Valérie?
Thank you, Arcilia. For the 10th meeting of the 4 per 1000 initiative, I would like to emphasize three main points: the progress we made, the support provided by IRD, and also our expectation and commitment for the future. So the biggest achievement for the 4 pour 1000 initiative during its first decade, and this is to be applauded, was to prove that land and agriculture are essential for both adapting and fighting climate change. The initiative essentially put the Paris Agreement into action, specifically by limiting global warming and preserving and enhancing carbon sinks, also by encouraging nature-based solutions like agroecology. This initiative is one of the key components of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It promotes interdisciplinary and intersectoriality, two pillars of our approach to working in partnership at IRD. I would like to remind our support through this initiative. For more than 10 years, IRD scientists and their partners in different regions of the world have been collecting data on the state of organic carbon stock in soils using inexpensive and also easily transportable methods to measure them. They have also developed methods for calculating greenhouse gas balance at the farm level, studied the effects of farming and soil management techniques in various social and economic contexts, and they also tested transformation of these agricultural systems. IRD, of course, will continue to support such multidisciplinary research to promote sustainable policies and positive social change, and also invest in strengthening key international scientific networks and the expertise networks for land and territory management of the Great Green Wall. The next decade should allow us to reaffirm the importance of science on an international scale, particularly the synergy between our other initiatives, such as the International Soil Carbon Research Consortium and the initiative Scientific at the Technical Committee, the STC. We also need to broaden the range of scientific expertise supported by the initiative to better document the links between natural, terrestrial, and anthropoidal systems, aquatic ecosystems also, and the links between soil, health, food, and nutritional security for population. Also, maybe 2 points need to be reinforced in the future. The first concerns the dialogue on political science and the role of research and higher education institutions, particularly in the Global South. And the second is our collaboration with international donors, such as the GEF, and in order to develop a fundraising strategy that will enable us to adequately address the challenges I've just mentioned. So with over 800 members, the 4 pour 1000 initiative is an excellent forum for science to share its value and knowledge, and I'm really delighted that IRD is part of it. And finally, I would like to thank Paul Lou for all these efforts at the help of the initiative and for his trust, and we wish him all the best in this new chapter that is opening up for him. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Valerie, and thank you for the support and commitment over the past 10 years of the IRG and the great work that we have ahead. So thank you very much. I would like to welcome Ms. Elisabeth Claverie de Saint-Martin. She's the CEO from CIRAD, which, as you know, is the French International Agricultural Research Center for International Development. Elisabeth?
Dear Celia, thank you very much for giving me the floor. Dear Paul, honorable guests, and dear friends, this is really a pleasure to meet today. And just as Valérie said, in 10 years, we've done a lot of things, and we will go on being involved and supporting this initiative. I will be quite brief because we share most of the commitments that has been previously made to remain involved, implied in this initiative. Perhaps I would just underline 3 points. The first one, I'm very, very happy that we have this European Soil Observatory and that we have this new regulation. I'm very happy to see the GRC around the table. We've been waiting for so long. We are partners. This is very important for us, working a lot with the EU to have these subjects being recognized at the level it should be. And we hope that it will be also in the FTP 10 in the next financial programmation for research. So we're very happy. The second point is that I would like, as we are going to, for some of us to go to Belém in a few days, and that the attention, we go to this part of the world, to the Amazonia. I would just like to recall the huge work we've made together with IRD and with INRAE, working on soil, on carbon sequestration in overseas territories, and notably in French Guiana, which is an Amazonian territory. And we have very interesting data, and I'm sure that we will show them in a few days, and to show that we really need to invest more in tropical and overseas territory to see how we can bring the 4 per mil initiative at the right level over there. Perhaps in terms of what we will do in the next years, I will just underline 2 initiatives we've just launched, and also with French partners and South partners. It's 2 partnership platforms that we have just launched. One is in Africa, and it's called Soil Africao, with IRD and INRAE and lots of other partners, and notably African partners. And the other one, which is called Trace. It's also in Africa, but in Eastern Africa. And it's also on soil. So with these new platforms, we hope we will gather data, we will have good projects, and we'll be able to contribute at the right level to the 4 per mil initiative. So for all this, I hope that we will be at the meeting point next year. And to hand, I would just like to say to FAO, welcome. I would just like to say good anniversary, happy birthday to you, as it's also your birthday. So thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for your clarity, for your nice words. Best luck in Belém. And as we said earlier at the beginning of this meeting, the importance of the help of CIRAD, we cannot name it enough. And the importance of financial aid for research, as you just said. So I would like to continue, and I would like to invite now to the floor to Mr. Philippe Moquin, CEO of the French National Research Institute for Agriculture and Environment. Philippe, do we have you here?
Yes, thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Minister, Président du 4 pour 1000, dear colleagues, dear friends. This 10th anniversary marks a symbolic milestone for all of us. I would first like to congratulate the initiative 4 per 1000 to have paved the way towards the current political and scientific recognition of the importance of soil health and of carbon sequestration to face climate change. I consider that this significant paradigm shift and the fact that farmers and stakeholders have been involved in the process are the greatest achievement of the first decade. And it's also a promise for the future. So INRAE, with all our scientists, we are really proud to have contributed to this momentum. Now it's essential to consolidate the scientific and institutional cooperation. Today, we have the European project, CIRCASA and ORCASA, that we are coordinating, that led to the emergence of a dynamic scientific community, the International Soil Carbon Research Consortium. As you know, with the consortium, we can reinforce our support towards the 4 pour 1000 initiative. And this year, we have signed a partnership agreement that will enable us to accelerate reaching our common goals. Just to mention 2 initiatives associated with EMBRAPA and the Latin America and Caribbean Society of Science, which have held the first soil carbon research symposium at the end of June in Brazil, mobilizing more than 350 participants. In addition, INRAE coordinated the European Joint Programme on Soils, the EGP soil, which helped to quantify the additional carbon storage potential in European agricultural mineral soils. Through innovative research and cooperation between science and policy, EGP soil has contributed to policy development and to changes, concrete changes in agricultural practices. In the future, we envision a key role for the 4 per mille initiative in the governance of the International Soil Carbon Research Consortium. We count on you as a strong partner for working together on the international agenda as planned for COP30 in Belém to empower all stakeholders to make informed decisions. In conclusion, I am convinced that the 4 per mille initiative will continue to grow globally to promote the importance of soil for our society, for the planet, and we are really excited to contribute to this goal. I would end with a warm song to Paul. Thank you very much, Paul, for all the great job you have done for the initiative since the beginning. We were together with Stéphane Le Foll and other colleagues and friends at the beginning, and I can really appreciate your work with your team. And to finish, I will just want to say happy birthday, 4 per mille. Happy birthday to all the community of 4 per mille. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippe. Thank you so much for your words, and thank you for the work that INRAE is doing and all these updates and you know, hope that you're giving us with all your actions. So thank you. And yes, happy birthday to 4 per mille. I would like to give the floor now to Mr. André Le. André, he's joining us from Regeneration International. He's a founder and director and a dear friend, of course. André, are you there?
You've got to unmute me. Okay, gracias, Ursula, and bonjour à tous. I'll just share my screen now. Okay, so what I'd like to say too is that some of the people here, I've been involved since day one. In fact, I was one of the signatories of the original document in Paris. And as you can see, this is the time before Stefan and I had grey hairs. But I'm still involved and will continue to be involved. The number one signatory of this document was our Australian Minister for Agriculture, Greg Hunt. So just let me do a full screen here so it's better to see. And the reason for that is that Australia was the first country in the world to actually have a government carbon farming scheme where we paid farmers for putting carbon into the soil. This is actually a really important issue, and I think one of the things I want to say here is that where we still have work to do, at the moment, the global carbon budget is the primary document used by scientists and governments. And it assumes that soil carbon does not contribute to CO2 emissions, despite the fact it is the largest terrestrial carbon source. The sea is the largest source, but soils are the largest terrestrial. And we know, we have the evidence that since we've had the Industrial Revolution and industrial agriculture, we have lost so much carbon from our soils and they are contributing to the CO2 in the atmosphere. And we need to get that on the agenda. It is really important if we're going to deal with climate change. The other issue that is very, very important is this. Most of the carbon dioxide comes from the industrial nations of the global north. And we know that as it diffuses through the atmosphere, it gets the bulk of what gets put up into the atmosphere actually gets taken out by the sea, by algae, and by plants, and particularly in the global south. So by the time we get down to Cape Grim in Tasmania and we measure it, you know, it gets we actually know that nature takes most of it out, but we have an emissions gap. And if we look at the difference between January last year at Cape Grim and January this year, we've increased the amount of CO2 by 28 gigatons. So what we need to do is close this emissions gap. Can we do it by changing agriculture? And that's what 4 for 1000 is about. There's a lot of skeptics out there, but I want to go back to, in Australia, what we have achieved in the last 10 years with our government regulated carbon farming system. Firstly, I just want to say, we don't have much money for research around the world, and what we need to prioritize are credible, innovative outliers. And there's a lot of them. And I'll give you an example of one, which we've been very successful with in Australia, and that's strip tilling annual cover crops and cash crops into perennial pastures and cropping lands. And this is without herbicides and synthetic fertilizers. And what our scientists have measured in this particular farmer's field and shown that it's possible is 10 metric tons of carbon dioxide per hectare per year over the last 10 years. That is solid science. And this farmer has actually been paid for that. So what I want to say here is that this is what the farmer has done. Now, if we can get more science into it, we can do it better and we can scale it up. And I just a back of the envelope example of what it means. If we were to extrapolate this by agricultural lands, that's 48 gigatons. That's more than the 28 gigatons emissions gap. So the fact is, by putting our resources and work into these outliers, I believe we can close the emissions gap. The other thing we have achieved by having healthy soils is lower productions and significant increases in crop production. So, merci beaucoup. And Paul, I just want to wish you the best in your retirement. You've been fantastic. I don't know where we'd been if we hadn't had you for the last 10 years. So, Paul, thank you very much.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you for this, and thank you for your work at Regeneration International, giving visibility to successful agricultural practices. So, and everyone is echoing, yes, of course, the congratulations and all the wonderful messages that Paul Liu is receiving right now. None of this would be possible without him. And we'll talk more about it at the closing of this session. So thank you, Andre. I would like to give the floor now to Mr. Benedict Bossel. He's founder and CEO of Gut und Bossel and Fink Foundation from Germany. So, Benedict.
Yes, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very honored to be able to say thank you to the 4P per 1000 initiative also. When I started almost 10 years ago, I was looking everywhere to give me answers how I can cope with our 3,000 hectares of sandy soil in one of the driest areas of Germany. And one of the first initiatives I found, luckily, was 4 per 1000. So I am strongly emotionally connected to the initiative and thankful for it. What we do on the farm, as I said, in very difficult growing situations, is that we are transforming our old industrial ecological run farm into a regenerative agricultural farm with, of course, let's say the classical instruments that you would assume. And as we started in a time, beginning of 2019, where at least to my knowledge at the time, there wasn't much scientific analysis and scientific evaluation and monitoring and experience as far as these farm transitions were concerned, I, from day one, when I decided wanting to transform the farm, wanted to have strong research partners and institutes that follow us along, that monitor everything that we do to finally and hopefully build a framework where other farmers that want to transition don't have to do the same mistakes as us, and maybe also do the things that they do more effectively and more cheaply. That being said, our Think Foundation, which is the NGO part of our entrepreneurial activity here, has really a focus on externalities, so the positive as well as the negative externalities. Of course, working in this marginal land brings its specifics with it that, of course, are exponentially growing around the world. And I think another main point for us is the connection of the soil microbiome and the human microbiome. As far as our commercial farm is concerned, as I said, we are fighting with droughts, extreme weather events, and we believe that the only solution and the only insurance to be able to keep farming here for the next 100 years is diversity and, of course, soil health, and that we do specifically through, let's say, the main instruments of regenerative land use in arid regions, which of course is agroforestry. We now have 7 different systems of over 80 hectares where we are exploring syntropic but also more simple systems, and we have another 350 hectares to go, if not more. But of course, it's always a question of finance, which I will come back to later. Composting is something that is incredibly important to us, so we do all composting that you can imagine from all over the world. We use different compost extracts, we do foliar spray, so anything in that direction we are applying here to the fields, to the agroforestry systems. We have integrated cows, started with 20 cows in 2019. Now we have 350 cows that are fully integrated in the crop rotation, so we don't have a stable. We move from the summer pastures onto the winter pastures, which is always arable land. So that brings its same, let's say, difficulties. And the vision here is actually to combine all these uses of the land, i.e. not only have one field where we have arable farming and have a monoculture, or at least a nurse crop accompanying the monoculture, but really integrating agroforestry with arable farming and the cows. So in the best of all cases, you would have 3 harvests in the same field on the same year, each having symbiotic relationships with each other. And this is where we want to go. And part of what we're trying to establish, and just to add to what has already been said, I would even say it more drastically. I believe that farming is the biggest solution that we have to many of the biggest problems of our time. And of course it is nutrition, of course it is climate adaptation, but it's specifically biodiversity, it is development of rural areas, it is equality, it is all these things that we talk about today. It starts with land use. That being said, through my experience on our marginal land, and this might be different in other, let's say, more high margin productions or better land, but if we are serious about wanting to transition our farming so it becomes the solution, we will not be able to do it if we don't start monetizing the true benefits of farming. If we do not pay our farmers for building soil health, for building biodiversity, for making better water infiltration, water storage, etc., we will not have a chance to do it. So this is a big part of why we do what we do, why we fight for what we believe in, and what we try to establish on the farm with many of our research partners and institutes. And I believe this is something that I'm incredibly grateful for when it comes to the 4 per 1,000 initiative, is to have this incredible network of people, initiatives, people that want to get involved and are wanting to change something and go beyond what is needed in the job description, because that's what the community makes strong. That's, I think, the only way how we can do it, and for that positivity and the motivation to keep pushing, keep trying, and keep asking the right questions, I'm very thankful for. So thank you very much, and to another amazing next 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Benedict, for this presentation and this, spot-on message you just deliver. The only insurance being diversity and soil health. Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much. I would like to now give the floor to, I don't know if we've been able to connect. Yes, I think we have now. The next person would be Bertrand Gorge.
Bertrand Gorge,
Bertrand
yes.
Gorge, excuse me.
No
Bertrand
problem.
Gorge, founder of NEAI Triple Performance. So Bertrand, please, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. And good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Bertrand Gorge, and I'm here to present Triple Performance, which is a knowledge and collaboration platform for farmers, which intention is to help farmers adopt new practices, which improve their economic, environmental, and social efficiency on their farm. And in order to do so, what we have built is basically a platform based on Wikipedia. It's the same software underneath, which capitalizes all knowledge available for farmers in a free and practical way. It also includes communities of practice that allow farmers to discuss without the fear of conflict or ideologies, and tools and visual diagrams that help knowledge and improve the knowledge sharing. And thanks to 4 per thousand, now the soil is much better understood, and we know the best practices to improve it, such as the one we've just seen, no-till agriculture, among others. And so our role is to make sure that farmers get the theory behind soil, living soils, and plants, so that they can implement those best practices properly. But also what we want is change, and before change can occur, we need also to talk about the economic side, because that's what will stop the farmer from going ahead. So in our platform, we've added also a lot of economical numbers for farmers to make sure that they can integrate that in their system. And last but not least, content, even good content is not enough if it can't be found easily. That's why we've spent a lot of effort making sure that all this content arrives on top of Google searches, and which is the case today for many topics. Which gives us the following key numbers. We today have a little less than a million visits a year, which is pretty good considering the number of farmers in France. We have 8,000 articles on all topics: case studies, practices, theory, crops, decision tools, and things. We have a lot of different contributors that include European projects, people of the CIRAD and INRAE and so on, and also associations, researchers, and individuals. And today, the platform exists in 11 languages. And if you are interested in this project, don't hesitate to drop us a call, because we are looking for structures that could be a relay on in other countries. This kind of platform only works if we have people that talk to farmers, know what they need, and find the right content for them in order to help them do their transformation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Bertrand Gorge. NEAI Triple Performance, Education and Communication, very important. Thank you, Bertrand. I would like now to give the floor to Mr. Jean-Pierre Pinsant, CEO of Gaillago, France.
So I would say just I am an entrepreneur and a business angel on on innovation for agroecological transition project. And Gaillago is one of the company I've been leading, and which has a major impact on soil, specialized on soil revitalization. So for me, one of the greatest achievement of the 4 per 1,000 initiative has really been to showcase the role of soils in climate sustainability by introducing a global benchmark, which is the 4.4p 1,000, or 0.4% annual increase in soil organic carbon. This benchmark really helped quantifying soil's potential in climate mitigation guided sustainable land practices worldwide and led to formal certification model for carbon sequestration, like Label Bas Carbone in France, Vera also certification, gold standard certification now we have in place. So more broadly, soil is now recognized as the second largest carbon sink on Earth after the ocean, thanks to 4P1000, which I think played a key role in that. It holds, soil holds 95% of the food, as you know, and represent 25% of the total potential of nature-based climate solutions. So in just 10 years, the initiative has united governments, scientists, farmers, regulatory bodies, and businesses around the world around this vision in particular, laying the foundation for a new climate governance that finally includes soil. Here at Gaillago, a French company created 10 years ago, we developed innovative solutions, innovative products for soil revitalization. And we've developed a concrete solution that make it possible to meet the 4 per 1,000 target, even in highly degraded soil, which represent up to 60% of global land. Our soil regeneration program works by stimulating soil microbiology using a certified biostimulant, an innovative product based on natural ingredients only, also applying best agricultural practices tailored to local conditions, and securing global standard international certification to ensure credibility and traceability by measuring and remeasuring after 5 years. And now it's been proven the average storage is about 3 tons of carbon per year, globally 15 tons over 5 years, which is meeting the 4 per 1,000 initiative. So to scale up now the impact of the 4 per 1,000 initiative, I believe we must reinforce a core message that healthy soils are the foundation of healthy ecosystem, sustainable agriculture, and nutritious food. The FAO highlights that soil organic carbon is a key indicator of soil health, directly linked to biodiversity, productivity, climate resilience. By promoting practices that increase carbon stock 4 per 1,000 support a holistic One Health vision, where soil, plant, animal, and human well-being are deeply interconnected. Now is the time to act by unlocking financing to help farmers invest in carbon-friendly practices. For example, in Gaillago program, the farmer needs to invest 90 euros per year for 5 years. Then he gets 15 tons carbon credit after those 5 years. But during those 5 years, he has to invest. So the issue is to finance the work he's doing for 5 years. And I really appreciate the speech of Bruno de Santos, who said that there is some funds, that would help to do that. Number 2, I think we need to act on communicating the full value of those practices, because it's not like when we stock carbon down to the earth forever. Here we are also having a side effect, which are so good, because we have agronomical, ecological, nutritional effect to drive, which helps also to drive to value what the farmer is doing, and to drive adoption and policy support is critical for us. So I wish to celebrate the next 10 years birthday in 2035 with a great contribution to climate stability by then. Thanks a lot to Paul Lou for all his energy and his process to get us here today.
Thank you, Jean-Pierre. Thank you so much, Jean-Pierre from Gaillago. And we have Chris. Our next speaker is Ms. Lola Brenna, analyst from Living Soils Workshops Atelier des Sols Vivants in France. So Lola, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. So while I'm sharing my screen, I'll just start introducing what I'm here to talk to you about today. So I am here to present to you a tool for awareness raising. So I'm one of the co-authors and professional facilitators of this tool, which is called the Living Soils Workshop. The reasons why we thought it was important to talk about it today is because we really think that this is a tool that might be put to contribution to the great mission that 4 pour 1000 is undertaking, which is putting soils on the agenda and making their importance visible and understandable to all. So just a few quick words about what the Living Soils Workshop is. It's an awareness raising tool. It's based on collective intelligence, so it's always done in groups, and it's based on cards, so it's a gamified format. And together, those two elements, collective intelligence and the game format, allows to raise a broad awareness on 3 different aspects of soils preservation. The first part is about spreading basic knowledge about soil ecosystems and their functionings and what are the key actors that compose soils. So this is what you can see on the left side of the screen, and we have many different concepts that we approach during the workshop, such as organic matter, but many other soil processes as well. Then we have a second part, which is about understanding the impacts of conventional agriculture, industrial agriculture practices on soil ecosystems. And there we talk about the dangers, the great dangers that soils face today, including erosion amongst many others. And we kind of try and give an overview of the practices that are at the root of those degradations today. And then the final part, which some would say is the most important one, but which is obviously very, very important, is to talk about solutions and alternatives. Because we really believe that we cannot just leave people with the observation that things are going badly. We also want to open a discussion about alternative practices that allow to shift the food production system, which is why we have a whole debate at the end of the workshop about potential alternatives. The workshop has been exists since 2022, and we have so far we have had almost 5,000 participants to the workshop among many countries around the world, in many languages, and both within companies or in the general public. And so we really, really hope that in the continuity of the 4 pour 1000 adventure, we can contribute to this important work of making sure that soil preservation is considered a priority, and as many other speakers were saying, is considered as important as climate mitigation and other ecological issues of our time. And we want to do so at the largest scale possible, so if possible at the scale of the international community. And we believe that this tool that we've developed is suited for a variety of audiences, and we've experienced it with individuals, private actors, public actors, so it can be adapted to many circumstances. And from our experience, it's a really great opportunity to open discussion spaces about this topic that we want to bring forward. So we really wish to put this workshop at the service of awareness raising job done by 4 pour 1000 and all of the partners here today and beyond. So don't hesitate. If you think that you want to open those discussion spaces with us, we'd be happy to keep collaborating in the favor of soils.
Thank you so much, Lula, for your great presentation and for this amazing tool, collective intelligence. I love it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Perfect. So it's about time. We're running well on schedule, but it's almost time to move on to the forum of the partners meeting. So as per usual, we have our 4 pour 1000 2025 activity report by Dr. Paul, Executive Secretary of the International 4 pour 1000 Initiative. Paul, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Celia. I hope that you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I will try to be not too long as usual, but I know that it's quite an interesting exercise to go through all what was done the previous year. I mean, not previous year, but we are still in the year. This is the first time we are so early in the year, in October. Usually we present this report in November or December. So for the first time, it's in October. So next year will be a little bit later, I guess. So just a small reminder about the roadmap from this year. So I recall you that this activity report is mainly done on the basis of the Strategic Plan 2050, and that it is also made in the context of the core facilities. That means the facilities that are provided by the Secretariat to the War Initiative. And on this slide, we recall you the seven main core facilities that are in the end of the Secretariat to be implemented. So first, one of the first things was to organize a statutory meeting, and to do so, we organized the forum of the partners last year. It was also online like this year. Last year, the COP was in Baku, and the logistic was very difficult to organize. To be honest, we already booked hotel and rooms and so on there in Baku very early in 2024. And then what's happened is that everything was cancelled. And so we decided that it will be only online. And so we had the opportunity, like this year, of having some ministers that join us and send us their messages. We received the inspirational speech by Marc-André Selos from the museum in Paris. And we had also the activity presented all over the year, and also the possibility to discuss more in detail some regional conferences that we had in Rabat in 2024 with also the help of SIAM. And we also had this meeting back to the ministerial meeting of the SIAM in Rabat, and we had the opportunity to present the roadmap from the regional conference to the SIAT ministerial conference. It was a very good opportunity. So we had also presentation about the activity that we were scheduling for this year, mainly the meeting in Rio, the regional conference that we will come back on later, and the temperate climate country meeting in Berlin that we had in September. And unfortunately, we had a presentation from South Africa, but we were not able to organize this year this conference in South Africa. So after this forum of the partner, we had the meeting of the consortium of the member, and of course, all the very important decisions were made concerning the statutory meeting, the budget, the roadmap, the activities of the bureau, and the STC involvement. During the year in 2025, we had, as I said, a meeting of the STC as well, and the Scientific and Technical Committee met in person and in hybrid mode also in Rio during our regional conference also in June this year. And they will have the next meeting online only next week. It was supposed to be yesterday and day before yesterday, but we had some problem with some participation of the STC member, and we had to adapt, and we will have this meeting next week. So the STC during his meeting in Rio just take few decisions, come back on the very important, you have all this detail on my slide, and they work also as interim committee for the IRC, and they propose some comments on the work done by the IRC on the Impact for Soil platform, on the strategic research and innovation agenda. They will continue this work mainly on that point in the coming days. And they work also on remarks on the harmonized soil carbon MRV cookbook that was presented in Rio. And during that time also, the co-chairing shift from Beverly Henry and Farshad Amir-Islami to Deborah Bosio and Budiman Minasni for the coming years. Concerning the implementation of the strategic plan, there were continuation of the work, but not a lot of work well done, to be honest. We will present to you the work done on the dashboard, on the F2 objective, and we had also some reports. We had some report by Marc Bernard on the F1 task force on the twin regions. But the other one were just a little bit more, I would say, not so very active, and we will continue the work on this, but it's a lot of resources, and well, we are missing a little bit of resources at the moment, as we will come back on that. We had also the continuation of the bureau meeting during this year. We had 5 meetings since November 24, and Ercilia or myself had to chair those meetings. We organized the procedure, and we will come back on that tomorrow for the new incoming vice president, because as you know, Ercilia Sarres will become the president of the initiative at the end of this year. And so we have to elect a new incoming vice president. And then we will we'll see that tomorrow during the consortium meeting. There were the nomination of Gabriel Bastien and Wolfgang Zonbar as honorary vice president. There were also the renewal procedure for the STC member that will be also presented in order to continue to have this STC active with the 14 member. And of course, the Bureau helped us to organize this 9th initiative day that we are organizing today and tomorrow. And we present to them also our project, and I will come back that later about what we will do in Belém. As I said before, we organized this year 2 regional meetings. The first one was in Rio, with a strong organization, co-organization by the IRC and Orcasa project that give the tone for science in this specific regional meeting. And we work also with our friend from Embrapa, from Sea Carbon, Federal University of Goiás, all the people that are there. And also, we had 3 days of very, very rich exchanges with all categories of stakeholders to exchange experience, success, and failure about what's going on in this question of agricultural practice and science to preserve and regenerate soil health. We had a very nice field trip organized by Embrapa in the countryside and with the Fazenda Santa Monica in Valencia. And we see the effort done by Embrapa to develop a dairy cattle experimental farm involving forestry and pasture, of course. So we had also in September another, let's call it regional meeting. It was the first time we organized a meeting for temperate climate countries, and it was called Soil Carbon for Climate, organized by our friend from the BLE and the Humus program, and hosted by BMLEH, the Federal Minister of Agriculture in Germany. And we had the opening by the minister that we saw today, Mr. Le Foll also, and we had also the pleasure to welcome the Director General of GRC, who just joined the initiative for the European Commission, Bernard Maguin. We had 3 days of very interesting discussion, also presentation with a very high-level segment on international cooperation with the Ambassador Penelope Winsley from Australia. We had the presentation Scientific by Axel Dunn with Stefania Avenzini from WBCSD, from the Global Soil Partnership with Torum that was here today, and also the Carbon Soil ERC. So it was very rich and very high-level meeting, and we had after that breakout session to deep dive in some subject like soil health and biodiversity policy approaches, living labs, biochar and circular economy, MRV, agroforestry, carbon market, grassland and peatlands. So very, very rich. We had also a very nice excursion day on the last day around Berlin, and we had the pleasure, for instance, to see the farm presented by Benedict Bosel just a few minutes ago. It was really a great moment to see reality in the field. This year was also, as we all said, the the anniversary of the 4 per Mille initiative. So we had a nice event during the Change Now Summit in Paris, 24th of April. Some of you, were there, and it was a very nice setting in the middle of this beautiful Grand Palais, as Stéphane Le Foll just said before. And we organized also, or we contributed to many other events. So you can see some of them on those slides. We also had the participation, as usual, to the Global Soil Partnership General Assembly, Plenary Assembly in June. And we have, as I said before, the 2 regional conferences there. And I will go in Zurich next week for the Soil for Soil Symposium, and we will participate to the Belém Climate Camp. So we continued our relation with other initiatives and partnership. Of course, you have all our partners over there, but we continue to develop some MOU also with some of them. So here you are. We continue the work on the collaborative platform and the website. We try to enrich all of those. We also put a lot of video on our YouTube channel, and we encourage you, of course, to visit all of those and get some information, put some information over there also, and also propose to us some information for the newsletter. Unfortunately, due to budgetary reason this year, we had to stop for a few months the newsletter, and so that is why the newsletter 29 in June was limited only to the editorial. But fortunately, we had the opportunity to have a complete newsletter in October, and we encourage you to propose us information also to put in those very important newsletter. So the Scientific and Technical Committee work also on the soil carbon notes number 5, on safeguarding soil carbon in rangeland, a key to climate and ecosystem resilience. This paper was presented by Beverly Henry in Berlin, but it will be also promoted in Belém. So at the level of communication, we continue our work, and there were some press review, but it was interrupted also in June due to budgetary reason. The press relation also was interrupted in June. We are very sorry about the situation, but as I used to say, I don't like to spend money that we do not have, and so when we have limited resources, we have to cope with that and adapt our activities. So during that time, the network continued to increase, and we just continue to have this beautiful map full of partners and members all around the world. And we also prepared a document that was announced several times since the beginning of the morning, and you can see it now. This is the first decade of the initiative. I will come back on that later on with a specific presentation. And we are also, we work on the second edition of the book, Farmers of the Earth in the Hand, with the second edition that will be published at the end of this month, with a new preface co-authored by Eric Orsena from the French Academia and Stéphane Le Foll. Of course, thanks to the work done by Beatrice, we continue to sign a lot of MOU and agreement. You have a picture here of the new MOU, the renewal of the MOU signed with OIV in Paris on the 24th of April. But we had, as it was said also previously, an agreement signed with the IRC, as Philippe Mauguin just recorded during his speech. And we have some new financial agreement with the donor from this year, Earthworm Foundation, Royal Canin, McDonald's, and Pour une Agriculture du Vivant, and some others. So our network today, nowadays, reaching the level of 873 partners from 110 countries all around the world. And we are also very happy to welcome the European Commission among them since the middle of this year. And as I will show you this again, but we work, it's part of the document that was edited for the 10th anniversary. And you can see that we can see that the initiative is everywhere on the planet. There is very few countries less than 20 that still have no member or partners of the initiative, but most of the countries in the world have partners and members, and that's the one in yellow and also the one in green are the countries themselves that are members or partners, or some of the states or regions that are members or partners of the 4 per Mil initiative. So we have, among this 873 partners, we have 388 members, that means that participate to the decision-making process. So on the finance aspect, and this is not the part I'm the most proud of, but we have some difficulty this year. We spend a level of only 278,000 euro because our resources were less than that. And so we had to stick to that to avoid to overspend. And I should say that we have to thank the French Minister of Agriculture, the Spanish Minister of Agriculture, the German Ministry of Agriculture, IRD Farm Foundation, Healthworm Foundation, Royal Canin, McDonald France, PIDV, and Orcasa Project for their support, or in budgetary financial support, or in kind with secondment. So we reached the level of roughly 5.7 secondment to the Secretariat, and we are fortunate to have some offices provided by the Occitanie region and Agropolis International, and the help from CIRAD also with Brigitte. So the total expenses to the end of the year would be 264. I just mentioned 276. That's the level that was supposed to be available. But we had a small gap to fill from last year due to a late budgetary contribution. And so it means that this year we might finish the year with a kind of deficit of 30,000 euro, which is quite a lot. We will try to do our best, and we are continuing to do our best to collect some more money to have the minimum gap, and if possible, no gap at all at the end of the year. This figure gives you the evolution of the budget, and you see that, well, you have in green the available budget, you have in red the level of expenses, in blue you have the report from the previous year, and you see the evolution of the report budget to the budget, and you see that the blue line is going down under zero. It means that we have a negative contribution from the previous budget. And on the yellow line, you can see that the budget is going over 100%. It means that we are spending more money than we have. So the situation is not very nice. And I stress that point because we will come back on it tomorrow, and we really call all the possible contributors to help us to fill that gap. To do so, we launched already for several years the CDA Hello ASSO platform that help anybody that want to give us some money to do so. It could be from 5 euros to 1 million euro. Well, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you can give in between those two amounts. And I also register, with the help of Beatrice, a video calling for support. And we also introduce on the website a small button just to support us. So we have all the tools that could allow us to collect more money. So please, if you like what we are doing, if you want the initiative to continue to work for the coming years, please go around, give some money, and promote the possibility to support us. So the Secretariat has evolved a little bit. Well, this is not, I don't like much this schedule, this sketch, but this is, give some name at least. So we have in Spain, Elena Boyano in the Ministry of Agriculture. We have in Montpellier with me, Beatrice and Brigitte that are working in the office in Montpellier. And we have a quite reinforced, restrength team in Beaune with Claudia Chep, of course, Samuel Ontnad, and since the beginning of this year, we have Lance Bruckner and Catalina Berger, who just join us and help a lot the initiative and help also to organize the meeting and conference in Berlin. So I will stop over here for that. And of course, I'm ready to answer all the questions to the people if they have some.
Thank you so much, Paul, for this very thorough report, and it shows all the activities and work of you and the whole secretariat. So thank you for that. And I would like to now continue with the 2025 activity report.
Excuse me, Celia, if there are questions.
Should we open the floor now for questions?
We can. I mean, we can have questions in the chat if the people want to ask questions. It would be great, and so we can answer in direct, well, if they have any.
Okay, so directly through the chat. Is
Yes,
that correct?
please. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. So please feel free to ask your questions on the chat. So now, yes, I would like to ask for Professor Budiman Minasni, which is professor in soil landscape modeling, School of Life and Environmental Sciences of the University of Sydney, Australia. And he's also the vice chair of the 4.1000 STC and of the Soil Carbon IRC, Soil Carbon Futures. So if you could present to us the 2025 activity reports of the 4.1000 STC, Professor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, it's a bit noisy. So I'm traveling at the moment. I'm in a restaurant now in Taiwan, so apologies. So if I can help Beatrice or Claudia with the slides, please.
Yes.
My name is Budiman Minasni. I'm from the University of Sydney. Apologies for the background noise. I'm traveling at the moment, so I'm representing the 4 per Mil Scientific and Technical Committee, or the STC, for 2025. Next, please. So there's some, no, previously. So there's some good news starting off. So the good news is that we have a new chairs or co-chairs, and one of them is me, and the other one is Deborah Bosio. Deborah is the lead scientist at the Nature Conservancy in the USA. So we are the newly elected co-chairs starting from now. And at this moment, I would like to thank the previous co-chair, Beverly Henry and Farshad, for their outstanding engagement as co-chairs in the past 3 years. Thanks, Beverly. Slide, please. So and also that the new elected co-chairs are also the co-chairs for the. Okay, so in 2025 we have 2 meetings. One is at the 4 per 1000 fourth meeting at the soil carbon IRC in Rio. That was in June in Brazil. So we had also presented at the soil carbon, the Latin America soil carbon meeting, which Beata will present later. And our next meeting of the STC will be in next week. So they will be on the October 29th to the 30th. Next, please. So for the scientific outreach, as the STC's mandate is on the scientific advisory and publication. So we have special issues to celebrate the a decade or 10 years of the soil carbon 4 per 1000. So we have a special issue at Soil Advances. It's a journal. So we have extended the submission until end of this month. It's still a couple of weeks, so we can still, if you have papers, we can still accept papers or accept submission by the end of this month. And as a contribution of the STC, led by Lady Stella, So we have published a paper on enhancing 4 per 1,000 initiative implementation through region-specific agricultural and forestry practices. So in this paper, we survey approaches in different countries, especially in Africa and also in Asia, where there is a list or there is a developing number of papers on what kind of practices that can help in enhancing 4 per meal initiative. Next, please. So we also have contributed to a few of the conferences, as I said before, at the Latin America and the Caribbean conferences. The few STC members contributed, including Deborah Bosio, who was the keynote speaker, and then also Paul, and also other contributions. And there's also another conference that was last month in Berlin. It's this S4 per meal at the temperate regions. So these are our contribution. And also we have provided what we call as soil carbon notes or policy briefs. So the soil carbon note that is now number 5 is soil carbon in the rangelands. So we know that in many countries of the world, especially in Australia, rangeland is one of the largest land that occupies one of the largest area. And it is through managing and also safeguarding the soil carbon in the rangelands, we can help to contribute to climate and ecosystem resilience. And also we are preparing at the moment on the soil carbon note on the terms of concepts of land and soil. As we see that in policy that we often talk about land, but land is different from the soil. That means that land encompasses the water, the plant, and everything. So, but it often overlooks the soil. So this is a carbon note that we are preparing at the moment, and we can hope to share with you in a couple of months. Next, please. Next slide, please. So there are also the STC members also assessing about soil projects. So we call out for projects, and then the STC member help to provide feedback so that the projects are in a good shape, that it can be hopefully supported by various funding. So we also provided feedbacks to the Lila for Soils, which is a European Union initiative authored by authors from Spain on soil carbon MRV. It's related to sampling and data collection protocol for assessing soil carbon changes. The STC also provide advice regarding the implementation and the future focus of the initiative in the next decades. That was a part of the discussion in Rio. Next, please. And working together with the soil carbon IRC, so the STC members have worked together and provide feedback and a review on the platform Impact for Soil. So Impact for Soil is an online platform developed by the Soil Carbon IRC to try to communicate about the practices and importance of soil carbon for different regions. And also the STC members also provide a review for the report, for the soil carbon MRB report that was authored by the soil carbon IRC. So this was a discussion also at the soil carbon meeting in Rio a few months ago. Next, please. Then that's it. And we will have our STC meeting next week, and hopefully that we will continue working on it and provide you with more information on the at the later stage. And we are now also preparing a webinar that will be probably in the next month or so on the scientific webinar on the different topics, on the different controversial scientific topics in the soil carbon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Buriman, for this great presentation, and have a safe trip. I guess we're having some issues with opening the chat for comments or questions, so we'll make sure to save some time for a general discussion after.
We'll try to do our best on that. Thank you.
And Ercilia and Paul, just before we move on, so I'd been in contact with Miss Marie Le Gall from Nestlé France, and she really deeply apologized because she was visiting an industrial supplier, so she couldn't get online back. She tried many times, so she will do a video, and we will be able to share her presentation for everyone. So
thank you, Beatrice.
Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you for the clarification. We'll make sure to have Beatrice Marie Le Gall on video. So, first decade of the International 1000 Initiative, 2015-2025. Here we are, and we would love to hear from Paul Liu again on facts and figures. And if you could present this document you have all been working on, which is the presentation of the 10th anniversary document. Mr. Paul Liu?
Yes, thank you very much, Ercilia. I'm sharing my screen again. I hope that you can see it now.
Yes.
Well, we already had a lot of discussion about this. I mean, we presented you the cover of it, but now we try to go a little bit inside, and I encourage you, for those who did not yet had a close look, to go to the website and to find it. So, of course, it's obvious because most of the people around the table today are aware of the fact that we were born in Paris at the COP21 in 2015 with 160 signatories. We have seen with André Le some signatory working on the document. André is there on the first row during that very specific moment. And then since that time, we had an evolution of our network, and we tried to illustrate that with this figure. You can see that we start from 160 on the left, and on the right we are now at more than almost 900. And you see that there are two categories of stakeholders, mainly the businesses and the NGO that grow in the number specifically from 2019 in this case. And you see also that the proportion globally remain about the same among the various stakeholders categories. And if you look at the origin of the country of origin of the stakeholders of the 4 per mil initiative, you can see that there is a very high progression in Europe, while the other maintain. But if you look at the global balance on the right of this graphic, you can see that the proportions are more or less about the same since the beginning. I already show you that slide. It's our network now is very large, and we would like to have a new representation of this in the coming months, and we will work on that to show the different way it is. I show you already that map, but it's very interesting because so we try to have on the map in the center the countries where the member and the partners are. The country in green, dark green, are the country that themselves are member. The country with the medium green is a country, is a partner, and the country with the light green is a country where you have one or several states or regions that are member or partners of the 4 per mil initiative. And in yellow, you have the country that are not member or partners, but where you have a lot of members and partners as entity. And then we have also some graphics by continent: North America, Latin America and Caribbean, Africa, Europe, and Asia and the Pacific. The large ring is the forum of the partners with the different color for the stakeholders college, and you have the figure on the column, the first column, and then you have also the small camembert in the middle that give you the composition of the consortium. So that's a new way to present the information. We have also in this document some individual camembert, I would say, because we love it in France. And you have the graphic for each categories of stakeholder. So the first one is a global one, but then you have one on government and authorities. You have the funding bodies. You have the international organization and development banks. You have one on research and education. You have one on companies, on producers organization, NGOs, and you have the organization by region. So if you want to go deeper in the figure, so you can use this document and check it. We also work a lot with the Secretariat on the kind of what is the history and the main landmark in our history of the 4 permits since the beginning. So we figure out that the best way would be to make this temporal freeze. So you have in blue the line, which is the international context, and in green line, this is the history of the 4 per mil, and with some steps and some. So this is the first part of the decade, and the second part of the decade is coming on this figure. So if you want to have a close look, go see the document, get the document, and you will be able to follow the whole history. So we also use that our graphist to develop a new vision of our governance. It's not different from the one we had before, but it's more in line with the color of the initiative. And I would like to recall, as it was presented by the STC, the composition of the STC nowadays, which is quite, we are proud to have people from all around the world, 14 members, and we will continue to have some going out and some going in to continue the dynamism and the energy of it. Then one of the last parts of this document is also the dashboard. You know, the objective F3 is supposed to be the dashboard of the initiative. It means how the 24 objectives are implemented and where we are. So of course, this is very sensitive and difficult to evaluate correctly where we are. But we took the target 2030 that are clearly indicated in our strategic plan. And with the Secretariat, we just paused and said, okay, where we are there, what are the concrete realizations for each of the objectives? How can we estimate, because there is a part of estimation, of course, this implementation. And so we come back with this figure. So for each objective, you have a percentage. The percentage gives you where we are in the scope of attaining the target 2030. You can see that some of the objectives are 80%, which is quite a lot, but some of them are only 10%. So we need to do a lot. But I just recall that all the objectives are not only in the end of the Secretariat. This is the core facilities, but some of them are also in the end of the global network of the 4 per mil. So it means that you as a partner have a role to play to be able to implement this strategic plan. So you have the rest of the indicator, and the dashboard represents 75% because we consider that we did a lot with that first estimation. Last but not least, there is also an effort that we, thanks to our friend from FAO, we get a lot of data from FAO on the various categories of agriculture. We have also relation with the Conservation Agriculture Network, with the Biodynamic Network, and so on. And so for the first time, we were able to calculate for each country the percentage of the land use, I mean the agricultural land, used in agroecology. And so, of course, this figure can be discussed. It's not perfect, it's an estimation, but we can see that globally, agroecology represents more than 7% of the global agricultural land, but there are some continents that are more advanced than others. You can see that on this map. So this map is only an aggregated map about the sub-region, but we have the data for each of the country, and we will publish that in the future. So please have a look to this document. This is an enormous work done by the Secretariat, and thanks to our graphist, Antoine Vivier, who helped to design this document a very nice way. Thank you very much to all for that, and I give back the floor to Ercilia.
Thank you, Paul, and congratulations to the whole team. What an amazing document, indeed. I would like to hear now about the 10th anniversary event in Paris on April 24, 2025, during the Change Now Summit. So I will give the microphone to Beatrice Breton-Ascal, Strategic Partnership and Global Outreach Director of the 4.1000 Executive Secretariat. Beatrice.
So can you see my screen by now?
Yes, it's a little bit small, but...
Yes, I still have the same problem as before. Maybe to that. No, it's the same. Well, I start to go on like this.
Yeah.
So, first slide is about the event. So the event of the 10th anniversary of the 4 per Mille initiative took place on the 24th of April in Paris, in a wonderful place, which is the Grand Palais, who was just fully renovated since the last 5 years. And you have to know, for the history point of view, that this building was built for the World Exhibition that started, the first one that started in year 1900. So back to this place, this event was co-organized with Change Now, who hold a summit there about the World Expo of Solutions for the Planet. So that was really a very nice place and a good spot to be with different stakeholders group, because 140 delegations of countries were there, many students, many corporates, and during 4 days, they were all these people gathering about solutions for the planet. So that was really the place to be, and we were really happy to have our 10th anniversary event, high-level event in that place. The partners that made possible this event were Change Now, as I just said, but also Biosphere, who were the one paying for the place, the location, and also Moetensi through the World Living Soils Forum, who paid for the cocktail at the end of the event. So thank you for them, for their support. The theme of the event was really the legacy of the 4 per Mille initiative during this first decade, but also the perspectives, the commitments and actions for the second decade. So we had 2 roundtables and a transition. The first roundtable was about cross perspectives on the legacy of the first decade. Then we had a transition with the 3 historical funding ministries, France, Germany, and Spain, through their representatives. And then the last roundtable was about the orientations for the next 10 years and perspectives, commitments, and actions to be designed together for the second decade till 2035. So speakers were Mr. Le Foll, our president, introduced the high-level anniversary. Then Paul Lu, executive secretary, was the moderator of it. During the first round of speakers, roundtable, we had Mr. Barker, who is the OIV Director General, and we also took the time at the end of the event to renew the MOU we have with OIV, which is the International Organization of Vine and Wine. We had Mr. Clates representing Ms. Verdier from IRD, you just seen online before. And we had Mr. Mayaki, who is our Vice President and former CEO of NEPAD. For the transition, as said before, we had a video of Ms. Genevard, the French Minister of Agriculture and Food Sovereignty, Ms. Schild, the official representative of the German Federal Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and Mr. Riesgo, the Spanish Agricultural Attaché of the Spanish Embassy in Paris, representing the Spanish Ministry of Agriculture. Then for the second round of speakers and final roundtable, we had Ms. Gélin Lanéel from the European Commission, DG Agri. Then we have a farmer, because we had Mr. Hippolyte, sorry, I should introduce him first, from APAD, which is the Association for the Promotion of Conservation Agriculture. And it was very good to have a farmer, and many people were really happy that our stakeholder group of farmers organization were present there. Then we had Ms. Meza, who is the Deputy Director of the United Nations Convention on Desertification, and Ms. Danara Camichalon from OP2B, which is hosted by WBCSD in Geneva, which is a coalition of more than 28 big corporate groups. So I must say, and then the conclusion, very memorable conclusions with Mr. Osena, which is from the French Academy, a famous writer in French, but also the president of IAGF, which is an initiative protecting the great rivers, and Mr. Zonba, honorary vice president of the 4 per Mille initiative and a former head of unit at the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food. So you'll find in the first decade document, as Paul showed before, all the quotes. I mean, not all of them. I invite you to follow this event to really take the time, 1 hour, to really listen again on our 4 per Mille YouTube channel. I've put here a few quotes. The one of Mr. Le Foll. We need to remain optimistic, especially for the generation to come. And to remain optimistic, you need willpower. At the 4 per Mille initiative, that is what we are doing with this idea that agricultural land is not just land like any other. There are places where we produce food, but they are also have the potential to store carbon and therefore help combat global warming. Mr. Mayaki, thanks to his experience at NEPAD, and said that 4 per Mille was successful in the establishment of a regional network, and especially that was very important on the African continent, where many livelihoods directly depend on the well-being of soils. So you have other quotes, I won't go through all of them, but I have also one from Gilles Kleitz from ARD, who said that 4 per Mille is the story of the solution agriculture. And it is the strengthening of the science of sustainability in agriculture. So many nice quotes. I will finish with some pictures and saying that the audience was composed of more than 100 people, almost 150 people. And it was really a memorable moment, a very emotional moment, and very proud of the dedication that happened during those 10 years, thanks to all the people we have here around the table. And
I'm sorry, but your slide is not moving, and we are stuck to the first one.
Okay.
So it's okay. For the
Sorry.
picture, we will share the presentation with the attendance.
Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, that was just finishing in a few words. Is that it was full of emotion, good memories. So a lot of dedication during 10 years and a sense of duty for the next 10 years to come.
Thank you so much, Beatrice, for taking us to the event of the 10th anniversary of the 4,000 in Paris. Thank you, we appreciate it. Also, just so you know, Paul did put on the chat that if you have any questions, suggestions, doubts, you can send an email to secretariat@4per1000.org. So feel free to send an email, and someone will get back to you. I'm sure the secretariat will do so. We just looked at the past and the present, and it's time to talk about the next decade of the International 4,000 Initiative. So what's 2025 to 2035? And for that, we have Mr. Lance Regner from the 4,000 Executive Secretariat with quotes and proposals from the event that Beatrice just mentioned, the April 24 event. Lance, the mic is yours. Are you there?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So you also have to let me know if you. Okay. All right, so yes, I'm Landscape Brücken. I'm also part of the Executive Secretariat. And I will guide you through the survey we launched in April, or through the results. So I will kick it off mentioning that only, obviously, as a network, we can function. And also through exchange, which is why we strongly depend on the active involvement of all our members. And here I will show you who participated. So it was a total of 72 people who have participated in the survey so far. That's already a good number, but of course would like to encourage even more of you to take part. So here is the QR code to the survey if you haven't done it yet. Starting with the figure on the left-hand side, you see the participants' origin in world's region. So you see that 36% of the people who took part are from Africa, 26% are from Europe, and the rest is distributed on the other continents. And on the right-hand side, you see the organization types they're coming from. So almost a quarter is from research and education bodies, another quarter from NGOs and CSOs, 22% from the private sector, and the rest is distributed on national or regional governments, international organizations, funding bodies, and farmers. There you go. Okay, so the survey started off with a few questions. These are on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, you see the chart, which shows the distribution of responses ranging from excellent and good to satisfactory and poor. And as you can see, in terms of adaptation, 1.1, awareness, collaboration and research, 1.3 to 1.5, and also information, 1.6. We're doing pretty good. Regarding policies whatsoever, it's weaker, and we are not, or we could do better in investments. Next, I will show you, or you have the opportunity to choose between priorities for the next decade. And overall, the survey confirmed that all topics we're working on are still relevant and we are still pursuing them. But it's also highlighted that the support of actors on the ground is very important, with almost 20%. So you were also asked the subjects the initiative should focus on in the next years. And yes, here we see a clear call for integration of soil health in global policies with 39%. And also it's worth noting that finance opportunities for soil health and region-specific soil management practices are important to you. Your contribution. Okay, so you have feedbacked us the importance of supporting actors on the ground. And keeping that in mind, this figure highlights the high potential in accessing regional networks and engaging with local actors. We see there is a potential to foster connections as the necessary resources for regional initiatives appear to be available. And in this, or this might also serve as a reminder for each of you to reflect what you can actually contribute to the network, and do so. So Beatrice talked about the 10th anniversary in Paris, and I gathered some quotes of the high-level roundtables there. And in a moment, I'll give you a second to read through all of them. But maybe just to highlight two of them. First one is the third bullet point. The 4 per thousand links the farming community to the rest of the world. This underlines the importance of a role as mediator, or as well the penultimate quote, "We need to understand soils as a living organism," which outlines how fundamental our understanding of the soils must change. So I'll give you a second to read through some of them. Okay. So, and even if you couldn't read through all of them, but want to, you can find them on the according page on the wiki. And now to finish, I will come to the vision. We ask you to show us or to tell us what's your vision. And also here, I want to highlight the vision of the president, Stéphane Le Foll, of the 4 per Thousand initiative. He said, nous devons rester optimistes, en particulier pour les générations futures. And for the ones who don't speak French, a few, that says we need to keep our optimism, especially for the generations to come. Yeah, which I think is a great quote. This is what we do, of course, and it's also good for the future. However, it's particularly important for the future and the world in which we want to live in and leave behind for future generations. Yes, thanks for your attention. Here on the QR code, you have again the link for the survey if you haven't done it yet. I ask you to please do so we have more feedback on our work.
Thank you so much, Lance. Thank you for walking us on the next 10 years of the 4 per 1,000 initiative and the wonderful also presentation of the results from the 4 per 1,000 questionnaire. And yes, if you haven't completed yet, please do. So next, we're going to go through some of the regional conferences in 2025. Thank you, everyone who's still with us. We've been live for 2 hours and 40 minutes now. We're almost there. So continue with us for another 20 minutes or so. We got more information coming. And I would like now to bring a presentation about the Latin American and Caribbean Regional Conference, Soil Carbon Conference which happened in Brazil from June 25 to June 29. Miss Beata Madari, she's a research and development scientist. She's also a member of the 4 per 1,000 Soil Carbon IRC, part of the STC, and part of Embrapa, which is the Brazilian Agricultural Research Organization in Brazil. So Beata, if you could let us know more about the wonderful event in Rio de Janeiro.
Yes, thank you, Ercilia. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, and can you see the presentation?
Yes, as well. Thank you.
Okay, then great. Okay, thank you for the introduction. So, as Ercilia said, I'm a researcher at Embrapa, at the Brazilian Agricultural Research Corporation. And I'm also a member of the STC, of the initiative, of the 4 per 1,000 initiative, from the beginning of the initiative, proudly. And I am the ambassador for Latin America and the Caribbean of the Soil Carbon International Research Consortium. And now I will show some messages of the Latin American and Caribbean Soil Carbon Research Symposium. This symposium, it was held, we organized it in Rio de Janeiro, and the two main promoting initiatives were the Soil Carbon IRC and the 4 per mil initiative itself. As many before me mentioned, these two initiatives, they have a common scientific committee. And we also had as a promoter of the Brazilian Soil Science Society, which was very important for us. And this event also, it was also a preparative event by Embrapa for the Conference of the Parties that will happen in Belém in just a few days. Embrapa was the main organizer, and we had a very important contribution of the Federal University of Goiás, a national research initiative on low carbon agriculture, the Center for Carbon Research in Tropical Agriculture of the University of São Paulo, and the Association of Integrated Crop Livestock Forestry Systems Network. Well, was very important the presence at the opening ceremony of the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture. Also, we had a representative from the French Embassy. We had the presence of Embrapa's president, also a representative of our Ministry of Agriculture. We also had there the president of the Brazilian Soil Science Society, and also a representative of the Museum of Tomorrow, our host for the meeting. The keynote presentation was given by Deborah Bossio, who is one of the new vice chairs of the Scientific and Technical Committee of the two initiatives, 4,000 and the Soil Carbon IRC. And I liked very much the message, her presentation, and the message that her presentation gave. And well, I summarized it in 2 sentences only. I hope she would agree with it, because I think it is a very nice message, a global message from our event. So she says that the increase of soil carbon can significantly contribute to mitigate climate change, but it needs to be integrated into broader agenda of biodiversity preservation, food security, and ecosystem resilience, which are the major crises of our days. And caring for the soil is essential, though it is not sufficient to address this global crisis. The soil should be seen as the foundation for natural solutions that sustain both nature and people. Then, as the opening session, the 2 main promoting initiatives presented themselves. It was very important at this meeting because this is actually the first the first large meeting in Latin America and the Caribbean, which is organized by these initiatives. So Paul, he talked about the first 2 decades and the legacy of the first decade of the 4.0 initiative. And Susan Renders, she introduced a much newer initiative, the Soil Carbon International Research Consortium. Then we had plenary sessions and then roundtable discussions. In the plenary sessions, we discussed more scientific topics, like the 3 main topics were about carbon sequestration for sustainable agricultural production, soil health, and food security. We also discussed soil carbon measuring, monitoring, reporting, and verification, and about carbon markets and related soil carbon public policies, and also the importance of private schemes around the world. In the roundtables, we were discussing more practical questions with stakeholders of the 2 initiatives. We talked about collaboration, the importance of collaboration to enhance soil health research and outreach to practitioners. Also, the challenges of MRV, of soil organic carbon stock changes in agricultural lands in the practice, and about the need to harmonize the methods that we are using. And also, we also presented some case studies from the region for carbon credit and certification schemes in agriculture. It was we welcomed very much the contribution, a very rich contribution of the members of well, the 2 initiatives and the STC practically. We had there, as I mentioned, Paul, Deborah, Susan, also Beverly Henry, who was the previous vice chair of the STC, Budiman, one of the new vice chairs. Ercilia was present, and she had a very nice talk Remy Cardinal, also member of the STC, Professor Jagdish Lada, and we also had present the Brazilian member of the well, at that time she was partnership, Professor Lucia Anjos. And what are the messages that we can take from this meeting for the LAC region, for Latin America and the Caribbean? So I think we could all agree during this event that protecting and enhancing soils is not just about carbon. It's also about building sustainable, resilient ecosystems and livelihoods. Another important one is that soil carbon solutions require both traditional and scientific knowledge. They also need innovative practices, result of the collaboration of those types of knowledges, and collaborative frameworks to deliver climate, food, and livelihood resilience. The third one is that integration of science, policy, and regional realities to advance resilient and climate-smart food systems is necessary. And the last one that I would mention here is that effective soil carbon strategies require robust markets, innovative mechanisms, and supportive policies across the whole region. Well, this was not a hybrid event, not an online event. It was very important for us that people were present. And we also made a lot of emphasis to foster the active participation of everyone, not only those who were discussing at the stage. So we promoted a poster presentations. We had nearly 200 posters, but also made we also organized awards for the best posters presented in 3 categories, like for other undergraduate students, postgraduate students, and professionals. And the awarded posters were presented to the plenary. Also, you can see, and it is permanently available, the proceedings of the conference with all the summary, all the abstracts of the oral presentations of the plenaries and also of the posters. Some of the statistics which I would like to show because we are very, very happy with the success of the event. And that so many people actually came to Rio de Janeiro. It was not a small feast. So we had 39 speakers, as I mentioned, almost 2,000 posters, a total of 358 people in the conference. 60% of them were professionals, and we are very glad that 40% were actually young scientists who are still in training. I think it is a very important message that soil science, soil carbon is actually a hot topic for young scientists, and they are interested in it to research and discuss. We also these 358 people, they came for 21 countries. And actually, we had a hybrid side event on biochar that was organized by one of our sponsors. And it brought us an additional 350 participants online. And we finished with a field day in the mountains close to Rio de Janeiro on the Santa Monica farm that belongs to Embrapa. It's a demonstration unit for crop livestock forestry systems at our institution. And finally, I would like to say thanks to all of our sponsors and also for to all of my colleagues who helped in that. Thank you very much for your attention as well.
Thank you so much, Beata, for this wonderful presentation, and I can attest because I witnessed it. The amount of work, the amount of coordination, it was a tremendous, wonderful event, and you did a great job at coordinating the whole thing at a beautiful space, a beautiful place, and the amount of young scientists. I was very impressed by that. It was a very young crowd, and it was a lot of energy in the room. So thank you for coordinating that wonderful event. And thank you for letting us know about it today. And we have another presentation of, this time is Miss Claudia Shep, Scientific Director of the 4,000 Executive Secretariat. She's going to tell us a little bit about the event that they had at the Temperate Climate Conference in Berlin. This was September 11th to the 13th. So Claudia, I see you're sharing your screen. Yes.
Thank you, Araceli. I have to admit, I hope my voice will take us through this presentation as I caught a cold somehow, but let me do my best. Yeah, I think you can really see that this year we again had a really strong focus on the regional collaboration, and I think that fits quite nicely to what Lance just presented, that this is actually something that you as a network are requesting from us, and I think we're really happy that through the support of the different sponsors we could succeed to really deliver to this demand as well. So I know we're really advanced in time, so let me try not to be too long on this one. Let me just say a couple of words on the conference we had in Berlin. So Paul already mentioned that it was called Soil Carbon for Climate Conference. And maybe what's special about it that you can see here, it's like the first regional meeting for temperate regions. So normally, like during the last regional meetings we had, we tried to unite or bring together people from a geographical region. But this time we really tried to extend that scope a bit to bring together people from similar agroecological zones. So in order to make sure that we exchange on certain issues, certain challenges or ideas which arise due to the ecological conditions people are working in, and that we can share them amongst across borders and across continents. So that was a new approach, and I think it was quite interesting and quite successful to do that. So yeah, let's see. I think we can really continue with both approaches in the future as well. Yeah, maybe just to mention, we had about 180 participants, so it was a bit smaller than the Brazil one, but that was intended to be that way. And people came actually from 28 countries from 6 continents, if we count the Americas at 2 continents. So it was a really diverse set of participants, which also came from all stakeholder groups, and that for us was really the focus of this conference to make sure that we enable this multi-stakeholder dialogue and this exchange to understand like what the different groups need, what everybody can contribute in his or her work to the needs of the different stakeholder groups. Yes. So the conference was hosted by the Federal Ministry for Agriculture, Food and Regional Identity of Germany, and at this point, I think we would really like to express a big thank you to the ministry for making this conference possible. And it was co-organized by the Federal Humus Program of Germany, so it was a nice way to also showcase our national engagement for the topic on the ground in Germany. I hope I can now make this move. Yes. I will not take you through the entire program because I think it will take too long. Paul already mentioned that we had a very nice representation of high-level speakers, and we really tried to bring together organizations or international organizations working on soils, so like to strengthen the synergies and the collaboration with them. We had quite a nice moment where we had the official signature of the European Commission joining the initiative live on stage, so I think that was a good occasion to celebrate this big step. You can see here a picture of Paul, Mr. Le Foll, our Minister Reiner, and Mr. Megenhand from the European Commission celebrating this collaboration. Maybe one thing I would like to highlight from this first day is the discussion we had with the farmers, because this collaboration with the German Humus program really gave us the advantage to have access to quite an active network within Germany, where farmers who try to experiment and work on soil organic matter enhancing practices on the ground exchange and develop new methodologies. And we invited 2 of those farmers to talk about their experiences, but also about the challenges and their demands for policy and science and civil society to support their work on the ground. And I think that was quite impressive for the audience, because they were really engaged, and they also showed like how difficult it can be to change the system and to really move forward. And they, I think this is one of the main messages which came up several times during the conferences. They called for flexible, but at the same time reliable policies, which reduce the risk for farmers, but also give reliable incentives. And of course, that's a huge task if you really want to go with it. But I think that's something we are all striving for. Yeah, then we had a multi-stakeholder discussion at the end of the day, where we looked at how farmers can really benefit from sustainable soil management. Here we also discussed the question how carbon markets can foster the way of farming we want to support. So does it really, how can it support regenerative farming practices in a better way? And that was a topic we also picked up again during the second day, during the breakout sessions. Yeah, so Paul already mentioned that the second day was really focused on deep dives into different solutions. The first session, and we chose that on purpose, was on soil biology, a topic which still needs more attention probably. And the speakers here also highlighted that modeling the soil microbiome is actually a very important task for science at the moment, in order to make sure that we can predict better what climatic changes and other external factors, how they influence the development of soil carbon storage. So there was a strong call for action to further work on that topic. Yeah, then we had different breakout sessions. One really interesting one I found on the policy and regulatory instruments with policy examples from around the world, where we try to cover really different policy approaches. So some being more based on voluntary activities by the farmers, some really regulative approaches, like from Uruguay, for example, some more market-based approaches, like the Australian soil strategy. So it was a big, really colorful mix of approaches, and one could really see, yeah, from the different angles you can take to approach the topic. In the Living Labs session, we got really interesting insights from the German experiences in the Living Labs in the Humus program, but also from Living Labs around the world. And not to go into the details of the other sessions, but we also tried to include non-field scale approaches, so looking at agroforestry, peatlands, as well as grasslands, to really open up the discussion a bit and see how we can have landscape approaches fostering soil organic carbon. Yeah, so that was a quick run through what we did. Not to forget, of course, the field trip on the third day. You already got our friend from Gut und Böse, where the participants had the chance to really visit his, I would say, kind of extraordinary farm. But we also visited some 2 other farms, like one conventional and one organic farm, which are part of the, one of them is part of the German Federal Humus program. And people could really experience that no matter what kind of farming system you follow, you can still do a lot for your soils, and that, yeah, it's really about the methods you apply and the engagement you put in the activity. So I think that was really hands-on exchange, which participants really appreciated. Yes. We also had some really nice convivial time during the evenings. We had an evening reception, really nice coffee breaks, good vegetarian food. So I think it was a big success in terms of topics discussed and people on the ground who were present. Yes, and I would like to thank everybody who contributed to that. I know it was a lot of people. I'm not going to name all of them, but thank you very much at this point. And for those of you who would like to follow the recordings or the presentations, as well as the posters and pictures, they're all available online on the wiki. Yeah, unfortunately, we cannot share the link, but if you're interested, just scan the QR code. And yeah, I think it will be quite interesting to follow up on that. Okay, thanks a lot. I will stop here.
Thank you so much, Claudia. Thank you for all the information. And please remember questions, comments, suggestions. Write to us to secretariat@4per1000.org, secretariat@4per1000.org, and rest assured we will get back to you. Send your ideas, your questions, your comments, anything you have. We're almost there. We're almost finishing. And thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for staying tuned. There's so much is happening and so much information. It's hard to sum it all up, but we have 2 more topics left. One is the COP25 UNFCCC happening in Belém, Brazil. This is almost around the corner, November 11th to the 22nd. So, Paul, if you could tell us a little bit about the plans for Belém.
Yes, thank you very much, Ercilia. I will not be long. It's just to let you know what we are planning. Well, logistic was quite difficult also for Belém, but I think we will succeed to do it. I still have no accommodation, so I launch a call for that. If there is anybody who can provide me a room there, okay. I'm just joking, but well, not really, because I'm just out of it at the moment. So we succeed to propose various side event organization during the second week mainly, but there were one would just come on the first week because we will arrive the second week only. And we had one with our friend from CASH, Coalition on Soil Health, and also an NGO called SDG Impact Finance Initiative. So we will have this side event during the first week. We still are waiting for the final date. It will be on the Climate High Level Champion Pavilion, and it's very interesting because it will merge the 2 approaches. But the thing was to bridging policy, science, and finance for nature-based solution, which is really in the core of the subject that we are working on. The second side event that we are proposed, and we just get confirmation also, will be on the 18th of November at 2 o'clock, and it will be on the agri-zone organized by Embrapa, and this will be co-organized by International Research Consortium on Soil Carbon, IRC, which is called now Soil Carbon Futures, and this will be on soil carbon and soil health for the future of agriculture. And finally, we'll have a common side event on the 19th of November at 4 o'clock on the French pavilion on the Blue Zone, share with our friend from IRD, and it will be on the importance of sustainable soil management in operationalizing synergy between climate, biodiversity, water, sustainable food, and health, with the illustration of the 4per initiative experience and the example of drylands. So that will be also another very interesting time. We should say that will be a very short, small delegation. Only Beatrice, me, Ercilia, maybe we're just waiting for your confirmation there in Belém. Thanks to the Ministry of Agriculture in France that finally find a little bit of budget that could help us to go there. So I'm very glad of this. And we will do all our activities, and we will participate to side events also organized by others with our friend from Ministry of Agriculture of France, Germany, Brazil, IRC, IRD, CIRAD, INRAE, CASH, Agroecology Coalition, Embrapa, Regeneration International, Safe Soul, SECEM, Gaiago, and other, many others. So we are, to be clear, we are also involved in 3 initiatives that are planned to accelerate solutions from Active Action Group 8 and 9 proposed by the COP30 presidency, and namely regenerative agriculture in soil health, carbon removal in agriculture, and accelerate an agroecological transition by supporting family farming. So it's a lot of work, but it will be something that will last after the COP. And of course, we will be part of the RAIZ initiative proposed by the Brazilian government, because we are already part of the FAST initiative born in Sharm el-Sheikh. And so we will continue to work on that along the COPs. So that's all for me. Thank you very much. And I will give the floor next, if you allow me, Ercilia. I will help Beatrice for the presentation.
So this is a presentation that will be for the forum tomorrow, but for the consortium tomorrow, sorry, but we wanted to introduce it to you today. So next, please, Paul. So this is a point about the funding resources of the 4 per mil initiative. So on this first slide, you have an overview of what were the funding resources during the first decade. So as it was said this morning, 6.7 million euros were gathered during this first decade, and it includes operating budget, in-kind resources, estimations, and budget for regional and thematic meetings. What you can see on this table is that the operating budget counts around 34% of this total budget of the decade. In-kind is 56%, and regional meeting were 10% of it. So again, we are very grateful to all the funders that could support us during this first decade. So next, Paul, and again next. But we have to think about two facts and figures here, which are the followings. 96.5% of the operating budget is still public funding during the first decade. And there is a large gap between the voted budget every year at the consortium versus the real operating budget. What is real operating budget is the money we have in our pocket to do all the actions we do during 1 year. So it's also savings from the year before when we have some, and the money we gather for all the actions we conduct every year. So this large gap was around 40%. So the real budget we had in our pocket was accounting for only 40% of the voted budget every year. Next, please, Paul. And so 40%, as I said before, just said, and there's also a net decline in the last 3 years, and we have only reached 24% of the voted budget in 2025. Why? Because we are doing more and more numerous activities, and we are really decreasing. It's an exponential way of acting, of actions, and we have a decrease also in the financial reserves end of every year because we are doing so much on the ground. Next, please. So the questions we have to raise for the coming decade is, we know that we need more operating budget to go on. So to consolidate the mission of the 4 per mil initiative and multiply actions across the globe, and this in the continuity of the first decade. We need to move forward and move strongly, quickly, and we need also to animate our large and still growing 4 per mil network. Next, please. So we can ensure you that we will continue during the second decade to have a solicitation of private funders. It will be pursued, as you have seen the example of the regional meeting, which is something apart, but also what we did for the celebration, the high-level celebration in Paris. Our wish would be to explore the possible involvement of the 4 per mil network of partners and members. And also we will search for adjunction to funded projects that could be developed in the future. So next. Lance before presented some result because we conducted a questionnaire a few months ago that was sent to the 4 per mil network. And where the question number 7 was, the question was, is your organization willing to contribute to the initiative's operation budget with a yearly membership or partnership fee? So what is interesting in this graph, even if it's more 72 organizations replied. So it's not a big amount, but still the results are very interesting, because in blue you have 47% of the organization which say yes if one is free to decide on the amount of the contribution, and 22% are saying yes if the amount is adjusted to world, region, and stakeholder group following a consortium decision. 31% of the organization said no, we would leave the initiative if a fee was introduced. So taking into next please, Paul. Taking into consideration those sources, we think it makes relevant to explore the possibilities of the design of a voluntary membership fee model for the involvement of the 4 per mil network of partners and members, and through the study of existing models and to the tailoring for the 4 per mil network, because we have different multi-stakeholder groups, and we know that some of our partners or members cannot allow to pay some fees. So we'll have a look at the common fee models used globally. We'll have a look at membership categories and voluntary fees with benefits to be added. And I've included in the document, which is on the platform named Consortium 11.6 Base Funding Resources, some examples that you can have a look at. Next, please. So tomorrow, what we will do, we have some proposals for the 11th consortium, so that they give mandate to the 4 per mil executive secretariat to explore different voluntary membership fees model in 2026. This being tiered by stakeholder groups and in line, of course, with the different geographies, the sizes of the organizations, but also it can be the GDP of the country where the NGO is located, where the farmers organization is located. So we will be very, very, very conscious on all these criteria that are very important when thinking about this kind of model. So we'll ask for the request that the executive secretariat to present results and findings of this exploration to the Bureau of the initiative to seek orientation. And next, we'll ask for them that a structured 4 per mil voluntary membership model and policy would be approved during the year and eventually approved at the 12th meeting of the consortium of members at the end of 2026. And that also they will consider the implementation of this final voluntary membership 4 per mil fees model with a defined calendar as of 2027. So these are proposals, nothing mandatory, but it's our duty to explore all these possibilities as we have been doing since years now. Before we have explored the possibility of having a foundation. Every year we try to have new being innovative, but also as the situation is critical, as Paul explained before, we need to be agile and think of new possibilities to get the money to have an higher operational budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatrice. Paul, I will defer to you for a question.
Yes, well, there is a small question just proposed by Jean-Pierre Prinsen, who was just one of the presenters. He said that there is a lot of amount of money invested in deep carbon sequestration in Europe and even everywhere on Earth. And he just asked a question, why with the experience accumulated over the past 10 years on farming soil carbon sequestration, impulsed by the 4 per mil initiative in particular, which translate into cheaper investment, that deep carbon sequestration and greater side event, how can the 4 per mil initiative can help to redirect some investment towards soil sequestration at farm level? Well, this is what we are doing for several years, and we try to promote the fact that there will be more and more projects in the field, and that's really what we hope to have through the project the call for project for assessment that we are promoting, but also to help project holder to find funding to be able to implement what we propose to them in the field. So that would be one of the main things. And also, we would like to also participate to the project like RAIS or FAST in order to express the idea that we really need to go for a solution, nature-based solution, and finance those, which is a lot cheaper than the money we can put in the geological carbon sequestration that most of the country are looking for, because this is not requesting any energy than the solar energy, and also it provides food for all the people on this planet, which is quite very important. So that's what we try to do in the future. So there is another question asking if it will be possible to find out the recording and the presentation of this session. Yes, we will provide the presentation on the AFRIS platform, and we will edit, of course, the recording, and it will be on our YouTube channel in the coming months. I don't know when exactly it will be possible. And so there is a comment also that Patrick just from Africa just said, many thanks for the presentation today. Thank you for the great work done by the 4 per Million initiative, and we will appreciate it. Congratulations for this, far leading us in the secretariat. However, I don't see too much presence of Africa in much of the activity, and in East Africa, he said that he will be willing to support as the chair of the Soil Science Society of East Africa, the activity that could be developed. So we take that. Thank you, Patrick, for this remark, and we hope to be able in the future. And we try to organize something next year in Africa, in Austral Africa, I mean, Southern Africa, or maybe Eastern Africa, that you can contribute to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you everyone who sent their comments and questions. And I think that we've arrived to the end of our journey today. Everyone has done such a great job at going through the first decade of the 4,000 International Initiative, and made us look and have a vision for the next decade to come, 2026, 2035. I would like to thank the president, Monsieur Default. I would also like to thank all the speakers and the high-level segment, but I would also particularly like to thank all the partners who have stayed engaged with us in this wonderful day, and all the fantastic work of all the executive secretariat. And in particular, I would like to thank Paul Liu, who I know, Paul, you will continue being as present. Well, maybe not as much. Take some days off and some vacation, but I know we will continue having you as a part, as the heart of the 4,000 initiative. So we really thank you for all you've done, and thank you for the wonderful team that you lead, and everything that you guys do every single day to make this world a better world. So thank you everyone for joining us today.